Alright, then, so she did the ultrasound, the saline ultrasound, and found that I had, uterine polyps, which are treatable, they can be removed, but if left untreated, unknown, can become malignant and are cancerous and cause a whole slew of problems. So we scheduled a few weeks later after I had another period because I wasn't allowed to be on a period when I had this done, and had them removed. And that was in May of '08. Yeah, May of '08, last year. And uh, we had decided my body had been through so much. We were going to take a break, and um, we weren't going to try for a while. We were just going to take it easy and whatnot. And um, 4th of July came, and some family came in from out of state, and we had a party. And um, if you're not on birth control and you're trying not to get pregnant, I don't recommend drinking, because we got pregnant that very 4th of July, and I found out at the end of the month that I was pregnant, and um, we were joking about it a lot, but we were so terrified because I had spotting from day one. That's pretty much how I knew I was pregnant, because I had some spotting about a week before I got my period, and I don't. It was later than it normally was with the polyps, so I was like, well, I don't think it's the polyps. I mean, there could be more polyps that they missed, but I said I think this is implantation bleeding, and so a week went by, and um, I refused to test. I flat out refused to test. Um, the time that my period should have been there came and went, and about 3 or 4 days after, I decided, okay, well, it's not here yet. I might as well take a test because if I'm pregnant, then I need to know. I went and got a test, and it was positive, and a very, very dark positive, and um, I was terrified that the same thing was going to happen. And but I went in immediately. Had my beta. The doctor said, well, we're going to get your betas checked every few days to see if they're rising, and we'll do that for about a week. And they doubled, just like they were supposed to. So she said, okay, well, I think we're fine. Let's get you past the 6 week mark. We're gonna get you an ultrasound now, see where we're at. And I was barely 5 weeks. No, yeah, I was barely 5 or 6 weeks when I went in, and they were able to find the heartbeat, which was amazing. We were so happy we found a heartbeat, and it was right on target. Baby's growth was right on target. Um, we went in a couple weeks later for another ultrasound. Baby was still growing well, um, but I'd had some spotting, and and I mentioned it to the doctor, and she said, it's okay. Spotting is normal. Some spotting is normal in early pregnancy. And I was like, okay, well, I'll trust you. You're the doctor. But I still had that feeling, like I had with the first pregnancy. And we went in. Um, when was it? The end of August. August 30th. I was doing something, and I just felt this heaviness, and I went to the bathroom, and I wiped, and there was a lot of blood, and there were some clots there, and it was after my doctor's office closed, and they advised to go ahead and go to the emergency room just to get checked out and make sure everything was fine with the baby. Baby was fine. Baby's heart rate was fine. The bleeding had subsided by the time we got in to see a doctor. So they sent me home and told me it was a threatened miscarriage because I'd had a previous one before. So we went home. Next day, we went and did our grocery shopping, and came back, and um, that evening we I was in the computer chair, and I went to stand up, and I just felt this gush, and I'm telling you, from the time from our computer desk to the bathroom was about 13 feet. I was dripping blood from the desk to the bathroom, and when I got into the bathroom, I stood still, and it just puddled at my feet. It was so horrible, and I just stood there in utter shock. And it's like, this is it. I'm losing the baby. I'm losing the baby, and all I could do, I started squeaking because I was trying to scream for my husband, and I just couldn't get my voice to come. And finally, it just let loose, and I just started screaming my husband's name. And he was down in the garage, and he heard me all the way down there. He come flying up our basement stairs, and um, I had already stripped down and was in the tub, standing in the tub, not knowing what to do. I had clots coming out. I had blood and clots, and it was just so horrible. And I thought for sure that I was having a miscarriage, and it was horrible, horrible. Um, but the bleeding was so bad, and my husband, he was really concerned because I was starting to lose my color, and so he took me to the emergency room. He didn't take me to the one we had gone to before. He took me to a closer hospital, and I ended up staying. I sat in their waiting room for an hour and a half, bleeding profusely, and my blood pressure. By the time they got me back in there, my blood pressure was really low, and they weren't very concerned about it, and they took me back for an ultrasound. They wouldn't even let me look at the screen. I sat there for 20 minutes while she did an ultrasound, and then I had to wait an hour for the results. It was so miserable, and the entire time I was telling my husband, I said, if this is it, if we've lost this one, I don't want to try for another one. I can't do it again. And we found out the baby was fine. They said that my placenta was lying very low, and that I needed to consult with my doctor as soon as it was Memorial Weekend. I mean, not Memorial, Labor Day weekend was that Monday, and I couldn't get it until Tuesday. I got in Tuesday, and I told her what had happened over the weekend, and she said, "Oh, it's normal. I told you that before. Bleeding in the first trimester is normal." And I said, "Well, should I take it easy for a while until it stops?" She said, "No, go about your business." Um, and instead of listening to myself, knowing that I should have taken it easy, I did what she told me to, and I went about my business, and I was doing all the stuff I probably shouldn't have been doing. And then almost a week to the day, a little over a week, I got up in the middle of the night. I'd had some cramping all day. I called the doctor, and she said, "Well, let's get you in the next morning. We'll get you an ultrasound just to make sure everything's going okay." Um, so a different doctor I talked to, and so okay. So I said I'd call in the morning, schedule for the ultrasound that day, and we went to bed, and this cramping just kept coming and coming and coming very regular, and at about 1 o'clock I got up because I thought I had to go to the bathroom, and I just felt all of this pressure, and my body just kind of took over. At that point, I was out of it. My body just took over, and I started pushing and pushing, and the pain just kept getting worse and worse and worse. The pressure just kept getting worse. And I grabbed the blanket that was in there. That our laundry room is in our bathroom. So I grabbed a blanket and I laid it down on the floor, and